Hey everyone, since we're talking about some of the unique instruments, either instruments we built ourselves or things that are less commonly used in the orchestra that we featured in the Star Wars Jedi Survivor score, I thought I'd talk a bit about the music for the forest on the planet Kobo. We wanted the forest to have its own quality. We wanted it to be somewhat mysterious, but also have these almost like gamelan-esque wooden sounds echoing through the forest. So for years, I've had this bass tongue drum sitting in my studio. I actually have two of them. I had someone build them for me years ago, and I've yet to have an opportunity to use them on a score. If you put them side by side, they actually have a full chromatic array from a low G up to a D, an octave and a fifth above. And they have a very unique sound quality to them. I'll demonstrate what it sounds like just using these marimba mallets so you can hear it. So it has a really pretty sound to it. It's almost like a marimba, but with more overtones. And we thought that worked really well for the forest, so it's used quite a bit in the forest. But we also wanted to have something that could create sort of a bed of sound, something with a bit more ring to it, almost like creating the fog that you can feel sort of floating through the trees in the forest. So I also have in my studio this metal tongue drum that was given to me as a gift from my family. And it came with this small little mallet, and you can see it has multiple pitches on the top. If you hit the pitches, they ring just individual pitches. But if you hit it directly in the center, it'll actually resonate all of the pitches. And I thought that was a particularly cool sound. So I chose to use that, record it rhythmically, just using that hitting in the center to get all of the pitches to ring together, and then manipulating the audio using granular plugins and some pitch correction plugins to kind of create atmosphere, and almost like was able to bend it down and create this drone-like effect that all of the music in the forest kind of sits on top of. I'll demonstrate what that sounds like in context. First, I'll play a short snippet of the raw recording that I made here in my studio with that same effect using that metal tongue drum, just for context. Here's what that sounds like. And then that rhythm continues and continues for quite a bit of time. And then once I recorded that raw audio, we took that and reamped it in the studio at Abbey Road, recorded it through the speakers in the room with the same mics as the orchestra. And then I took that recording and flew it back into my sequence here in my studio. And then I was able to manipulate the audio using granular plugins, one in particular called Grain Space, to sort of stretch out the tones a bit more so they're more connected, and then slowly bending the pitch downward so it eventually lands on this low bass-like drone that the rest of the cue sort of is built on top of. So I'll demonstrate what that sounds like first, and then I'll play it in context with the rest of the music. So here's the reamped version of the metal tongue drum that's then manipulated with granular plugins. So now I'll play that in context with the rest of the music we recorded with the orchestra. But before I do, I'll talk a bit about sort of my compositional approach. So when I was writing this particular piece of music, actually the very first thing I did was play around with the metal tongue drum. And when you hit the center of it, as I demonstrated before, all the pitches ring, but not just that, it also results in these higher overtone harmonics that all ring together and sort of created this scale that I thought was very interesting. So I transcribed all the pitches and the overtones and came up with this scale that starts with the first three notes of a minor scale and then ascends from there in whole tones. So you'll see in context how I've voiced the strings in the intro to show, if you look at measure 3 here, it starts with the first three notes of the minor scale and then goes up in whole tones from there. And as the cue continues, it sort of adds on more to the top end of those overtones. And you'll hear right at the top the wooden bass tongue drum being played, so you can hear all of this put together in context. I'll demonstrate how everything sounds together now. So there's a little example of how we used various tongue drums in the score for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for listening.